Hello and welcome to Creative Flow. My name is Blair, and I'm offering this class through Berkshire Yoga, Dance, and Fitness. And I'm especially grateful that you're joining in and giving this a try, this experience and experiment of taking a virtual dance class. And I'm especially grateful to Berkshire Yoga, Dance and Fitness for encouraging all of the teachers to offer these classes for free for our community and extended community during this time. And also grateful to the other instructors for trying this out and sharing their skills and what inspires them to move. So, as I mentioned, this class is called Creative Flow, and it's going to be an improvisation class experience, and we will be sensing in a variety of ways. I hope to make this class as accessible as possible, continuously learning and discovering ways that I can be more expansive and aware through the process. Here comes this beautiful sun shining brighter right now. It's hard for me to see. Anyway, so if you've tuned into these classes before, the Creative Flow class, you may know that this experience is an exploration of soundscapes and landscapes, and how visual art and music can inspire our dancing, and how our dancing can inspire visual art and music. So these are things that many people have explored and are exploring, and including me and you, now that you're joining the class. For this class, it would be great if you have a notebook, some kind of journal or something that you can write with, and a pen or some markers. I have just set them aside for myself right here. So if you need to take a minute and gather those materials, if you don't have that with you, that's okay. Markers or pens. But I'll give you just a moment to gather those supplies if you do have them. Again, like I said, if you don't have that, that's okay. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to find some paper and a pencil and just go ahead and put that aside. We may be using that during the class. Also, if you'd like, you are welcome to gather anything you might need to play a little bit of music, like a phone or some kind of CD player or whatever you have. Again, it's not necessary, but I might invite that during the class. We will see how things unfold. I'll be offering some different kinds of music and sound experiences as well. But if you do grab some music, I'll probably, what I'll do is have you mute your screen, and then you can join in when you're ready. Okay. So as I mentioned, this will be a sensing and feeling and perhaps seeing and listening kind of experience. We may involve the other senses, and hope that this class will meet you where you are and give you some things to consider and work within your own daily life, and as well as this class, the movement experience of this class. So let's begin. As I usually begin class by just taking a moment to consider your body right now in this moment, and your whole self, your emotional landscape, your experiences that you've had so far today, And just notice what's coming up for you. I'm closing my eyes so that I can really tune into my inner self. You might notice how your body feels, and if you have any injury or sensitivity or weakness that you need to be especially attentive to just take a moment and recommit yourself to self-care in this class and for your life in general. You might notice your breath as you're doing this check-in. Let yourself inhale and exhale and notice that on your own. How your breath comes and goes and supports you on its own timing. Let yourself notice the environment that you're in and the support of the earth underneath your feet. If you're sitting down in a chair or on a couch, just notice the type of support that is holding you at this moment, whether it's your feet, the earth pushing back up into your feet, or whether you're lying down, spread out on the floor. Allow your breath to come and go on its own time. Just reminding yourself to take care of yourself in this class and in your life. And allowing yourself to be supported by the earth, by the air around you, by the space. And as you allow your breath to come and go, you can let your eyes relax back into your head towards the back of your skull, almost as if you had eyes and your eyes were in the back of your head. You can let your throat relax down deeper into the back of your skull, imagining everything relaxing. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. You can allow your tailbone to drop if you're standing. You can allow your skull and the weight of your skull to be lifted up a little bit, while letting your shoulders continue to fall towards the earth. If you're standing like I am, you can soften the backs of your knees or sway from side to side. Just allowing your breath to come and go, tuning into this moment and into the class that you are about to create for yourself, along with some of the prompts and directions that I'll offer. So throughout the class, I'll be offering some different ideas and prompts, and please feel free to adapt and modify any of my directions in a way that suits you and what you need to do in this moment. Trust your instincts, your own feelings, perceptions. We'll just take a few more breaths, grounding and centering, allowing your breath to come and go on its own time, knowing that our breath will be supporting us throughout this class and throughout our life. Okay, so we are beginning with a connection to our breath. And before we get into a little bit more dancing and moving, again, just take a moment to pause and reflect So if you've joined in any of the other creative flow classes, we spent the first class exploring kind of a way of contour drawing with our body, following the lines of different things in our environment and using different parts of our body to draw those things in the air or in space. And the energy, as well as the literal lines and shapes of nature and architecture. So that was the first creative flow class that I did virtually was kind of along those lines. And the second experience, we moved through the spectrum of colors and sounding and moving through the rainbow of colors as an experiment and an experience. So in this creative flow, we will be experimenting and experiencing pausing or being still and moving, and how the movement in an environment might be have a combination of moving elements and stillness. That our own body is part of that landscape of movement and stillness, and we are animating the landscape by our own movement. So just take a moment and consider your day, your daily life, and what causes you in your daily life, if you imagined yourself walking through this day so far that you've had, or perhaps a previous day, just consider your own pattern of pausing and moving. Perhaps you don't pause very often. Perhaps you just keep going from one thing to the next and you rarely stop. Or perhaps your life requires you to actually stop and do something that requires you to focus in a certain way or be still in a certain way. So everyone has a different pattern of movement and stillness, but just take a moment and think about your own pattern, which is different every day, but just consider some memory or day recently where you can imagine yourself walking through your day and consider the moments when you really pause. And if you think about those moments when you actually stop moving, we're always moving slightly as long as we're alive, but if you think about those moments where you're more still, consider why you're still, or what stops you, what causes you to pause or stop in your tracks as you move through the course of your day. And just notice your own pattern. There's no right or wrong to this. Just notice how you move through your day, what causes you to stop, and also perhaps what causes you to start to move again. Okay, so had a little bit of time to think about that and consider. Don't worry if you weren't able to think through your whole day yet, or if you didn't think of as many pause moments as you were trying to remember perhaps, but it's just something that we can consider in these next days after this class as well, how we're moving and stopping. Just something to notice and pay attention to. So we'll try this time to experience that in our own movement. And I'd like us to experiment with our breath for now. So just for a bit, let's try allowing our breath to inspire our stops and starts with our movement. So for now, on the inhale, allow your body to move in any way that feels good to you. And any part of your body, your movement can be as big or as small, as subtle or as expansive as you're feeling right now. You can allow it to grow perhaps, or start small and then expand. But just allow on your inhale, allow yourself to move. And on your exhale, allow yourself to come to a feeling of stillness, a dynamic, slightly moving stillness. So we'll just do that for a few minutes to begin. So allow yourself to explore the space that you have. And so on the inhale, moving, and on the exhale, a dynamic stillness. A couple minutes of that. Begin. Allow yourself to inhale and exhale a few more times, and follow that movement and stillness pattern. And while still letting our breath come and go, this time allow your breath to support you, but continue your movements. And allow yourself to move and stop as you feel. So whether it's, doesn't matter now on the inhale or the exhale, but your breath is still supporting you. And just allow yourself to move and pause in whatever rhythm you're feeling. And each time you pause, notice why you paused. You don't have to articulate it for yourself, but just notice that you paused and there was some reason. So you might feel that. It might not come to you in words, or you might experience it in a feelingful way. And allow yourself to pause and move and notice why you're moving and why you're stopping on a visceral, felt sense. So go ahead and allow your movement exploration to continue in the space that you're in. Moving and pausing, we'll just try that for a few minutes of exploring movement and pause. Allow your breath to support you on your own rhythm, in your own timing. Go ahead and begin. Allowing your own body to do what feels right to you in the moment. There's no right or wrong. Movement can be very subtle, or it can be really big, or somewhere in between, or a combination. But allow yourself to do what feels right to you in the moment. And just notice your stops and your starts, your pauses and your movements. Allowing yourself to bring a close to that, or a pause to that part of our exploration. I'm going to continue it just a little bit longer. This time, we're going to return to our breath as the cue. And this time, we'll pause or have a dynamic stillness on our inhale and allow the movement to come on the exhale. And as you're pausing and inhaling, you can notice where your attention is. I'll leave it at that. So go ahead and begin. Continue to follow your own needs, desires in the moment. So on the inhale, allow yourself to be in more of a still, dynamic stillness. And on your exhale, allow your body to move in the ways that feel right to you as subtle or as expansive as you need. And go ahead and begin again. I notice it's a little challenging to do the exhale movement after we've practiced the inhale. So don't worry if you're not doing that perfectly. Just practicing the idea though that on this time we're gonna be still on the inhale and moving on the exhale. Noticing what you notice when you're still on the inhale in particular. And bringing this part of our exploration to a pause or a closing. And again, just taking a moment to reflect on your journey and remembering what caused you to pause. Well, in this case, we were following our breath throughout the whole arc of the journey. What you noticed when you were paused, what felt like it was inspiring you as you moved. We have such a rhythm within ourselves, and it's so fun to move to music. It's also really interesting to move with our following our impulses and the rhythm of our environment and our own instinct for rhythm that's within. So we'll continue this exploration in a slightly different way. This time, we'll continue with the idea of pausing and moving, always being supported by our breath. This time, we can imagine that we are painters or musicians, or perhaps you are a painter and a musician, so you don't have to imagine. But we're going to imagine that and use our bodies to do some expression of the landscape around us. So for this part of the exercise, what we'll do is on your own timing, move through your environment, however big or small your space that you're working with is, and allow yourself to pause and take in the environment with your senses, as many or as few senses as you feel called to take it in with. And so pause maybe for about 30 seconds, somewhere between 5 to 10 or 30 seconds. You can feel that in your own self. After you've taken it in kind of a quick, just impression kind of way, allow yourself to spend about the same amount of time moving and expressing that experience that you were still and receiving. So we'll try this for about 5 minutes. And so hopefully you'll have a chance to do about 5 movement paintings of ephemeral paintings or ephemeral music. You can make sounds during this activity as you're expressing the landscape around you, or you might reflect it again in a very subtle or small way with your fingertips or with your nose or with your knee, just making a simple drawing in space with your toes or your knee or your heel or your whole body. So go ahead and begin and allow yourself to do maybe 5 sketches, I think, give or take. And when you do the sketch, imagine you're trying to express it kind of in a quick way. So you don't have to agonize or think too much about it, but just allow yourself to instinctually express what comes out naturally. Okay, let's give that a try. Expressing and taking in your environment on your own time, pausing to take it in, expressing the drawing or the impression or the senses, and then pausing again with a new landscape or a new perspective on your environment. Moving and again pausing. So we'll do about 5 paintings. Okay, begin. Okay, and bringing that part of the exploration to a close. And again, just taking a moment to reflect on that journey and the way that you experienced it through your senses, and the rhythm that you flowed with in your own skin, in your own self. And I noticed that I did a lot more than 5 paintings. I think I was following the rhythm of my impulses and my instincts. And I noticed that wherever I stopped in the midst of my movement was where the next image or the next impression, I just chose to be with that one. And so that was an interesting way of approaching it. And then I just noticed that I was experiencing a variety of senses. I was really noticing the wind, and it started to rain a little bit as I was dancing. And so some of the experiences and the impressions were not visual, they were sensory through my sense of touch and also through the sounds. And I also think there's senses beyond our senses. And oh wow, there's a duck. Hello, I don't know if you can see it. Wow, oh my gosh. It was way up in that pine tree and it just came through my vision. So it's interesting, but I do think for myself, I've been really wondering about those senses beyond my senses and how I can connect to more of a spiritual connection to people who have gone before me, who have passed on into the mystery, who have died. And that's been something that I've been thinking about a lot. And so for the next part of this activity, I would like us to try using our imagination. So not necessarily with images, but there's not quite a word for it that I can think of, but I guess imagination in a very holistic sense. So it might not be through an image. Oh, there's the duck again. Cool. So anyway, the imagination might come through images for you. It might come through sounds. It might come through touch, or it might come through a sense that you don't have a name for, or that you have a difficult time describing. So if you can just call to your imagination or your holistic sense of senses, something that you love to watch or experience through your senses that moves. Wow, it's starting to rain. Okay, I'm gonna keep going with the class, no worries, but I'm gonna move this computer to a little shelter. Okay. All right, so if you can imagine something you love to watch, something you love to watch in, perhaps it's in nature or perhaps not. It could be something like a bird, like the duck that just flew by. It could be something more elemental, such as wind or water, but something in nature or something in your environment or in your life that you love to experience and connect with on a movement level. So it could be cars going by. It could be another person that you love to watch move, or it could be something that you experience or you connect with through movement. And just call that to your imagination, to your heart, to your senses, something that you love to experience whether it's an image of something moving or a felt sense of something moving. And just, if you'd like, you can close your eyes if that helps you connect to it. Just imagine or sense how that thing moves, or thing or person or element. Just notice in your mind's eye, how does that move? And it may be a very visual image, but like I said, it might be some other type of sense that you're working with. Whatever comes to your mind and heart and body, allow that experience, something you love, to watch or to connect with in a movement way through your senses. And see if you can bring that image to your mind and heart. And see if you can focus your experience of imagining that or sensing in an imaginative way, so that you're imagining almost a clip, like a little animation of it, the last 20 to 30 seconds perhaps, or maybe even shorter. Just something that you can kind of repeat in your mind, watching the movement or feeling the movement. Perhaps it's hearing the movement, but some way that you're experiencing kind of a clip in your mind of that moving thing or person or animal that you love to watch. Just watch that or experience it in as holistic a way as you can, in your imagination, in your sense imagination. So you might have smells or sounds or touch sensations, maybe one of those things. You're watching that image repeat in your mind. And when you feel ready, allow yourself to begin to move and pause. So you can do that by moving and pausing that image. So just like we were doing in the environment, we're going to try that with our imagination. So this time, allowing yourself to pause, see that 5 to 30-second clip in your mind's eye or in your sense experience, and then allow yourself to express that through your movement. And then pause again and experience that through your imagination. Then allow yourself to move that again. And each movement expression can be different. You might find yourself repeating, but allow yourself to adapt and flow with how your body wants to express it each time. And we'll try that again, maybe about 5 or 6 times, to allow yourself to pause, paint, or express, or sound, move that image or sense experience that you're imagining. And of course, you're still in your environment. You're going to experience the intersection of your imagination and your current place. So go ahead and try that about 5 or 6 times, a pause and a movement. Pause and a movement on your own timing. We'll come back together in about 5 or 6 minutes. Allowing yourself to paint one more image. Pause and paint one last image in that exploration, and then we'll come back together for a moment. So again, we'll pause and reflect a bit on our experience. You might think about how you modified or adapted my directions to fit your own needs in this exercise. You might consider how your environment and the image either really connected or contrasted. You also might consider how you expressed that image in your own body, or that sense, as I said, sense or the image. If the image got stronger or the sense got stronger as you went on. You might notice how easy or difficult it was for you to imagine or call up that experience, whether it repeated or whether it changed with each expression or after you moved. So we'll actually continue with that same image and or sense experience, however you are looking at it or experiencing it, of something that you love, and allowing yourself to remember and reconnect to your breath through this exercise, allowing your breath to support your expression of these images. And again, let's try just this same image, but going deeper into it. And if you noticed that you were working primarily from a certain part of your body, you might experiment with using a different part of your body to experience or express. Perhaps you were using your arms a lot or your upper body, and maybe this time you could try working more with your lower body. Or for example, you might notice your fingers and your hands, your feet were very active, and the central core and spine of your body wasn't as involved. So you might try just waking up some areas of your body that you might not have been the first time through. And so go ahead and let's try this again. We'll do this for about 5 or 6 minutes again. I may put on some music if you'd like. You can put on some music and mute my screen if you have some of your own music. I may play some music at some point and you're welcome to listen. I also have some instruments that I'm keeping out here, so there's a chance I'll pause and play a little bit of music, but I'm going to let it be an improvisation for myself as well. And so we'll take about 5 to 6 minutes to feel that image in your own experience. Feel the senses that you are working with in your imagination, and allow yourself to paint, express, and pause. So remembering that idea of the short animation of something that you're either seeing or experiencing in a sensory way. And begin. So allowing yourself to bring that part of our exploration to a closing or a pause, another pause. And again, just taking a moment to reflect and sense what your experience was. Checking in with your breath, allowing your inhale and exhale to come and go. And noticing how you interpreted that experience for yourself, how you worked with that prompt and adapted it for your own needs, and following your own rhythm, your own ideas and attractions in the environment and in your imagination. I noticed for myself that I was experimenting more this time with the speed and the quality of movement, as well as different parts of my body expressing that image that I had in mind, and that sensory experience of what I love to see and experience in nature. And I was also influenced by the environment. The wind had died down a bit and the rain had stopped. So just moments ago, the wind was very exciting and that influenced me as well. So you might notice how your environment, as well as the image that you had in your mind, impacted your experience. And I think we'll try this one more time. We have, I believe, just enough time to do this exploration again. And I would encourage you to stay with that image that you have in mind. But this time, allow yourself to shift between that image and the experience and your environment, maybe more intentionally. So you might bring yourself very much back in this space that you're in, and allow yourself to be inspired to move by the architecture or the sounds and movement in the space that you're in, as well as the image. So you can shift back and forth a bit. But again, notice as you're shifting back and forth, what's inspiring you to move and what's inspiring you to pause. We'll just try this for about 5 more minutes, and then we'll check back in and have a bit of a closing. So allowing yourself to shift between the environment you're in and this image, perhaps following your own intuition and connecting to both your imagination and the space that you're in. Okay, and begin. Pause and stop. Pause and move on your own timing. This time, don't worry about any sort of direction with that. Just follow your own flow, your own rhythm, and see what happens. Okay. As you're moving through this last exploration, can especially notice your breath, allowing your breath to come and go as you move and stop, following your own timing, your own sense of the space, expressing the space around you and what's in your imagination. As you move through these last couple of minutes of movement and stopping, you can allow your body to slow down. Allow yourself to be extra aware of your breath, coming and going, supporting your movement all the time. Allow yourself to follow your movement and stopping as your own cool down, doing what you need to do to give yourself a sense of bringing this movement exploration to a closing. And as you're doing that, bring yourself back fully into the space that you're in. Allowing yourself to notice where your sense of support is. It's in your feet. Where the earth is supporting you and where your body is rising up away from the earth. Allowing your breath to come and go. Bringing yourself to a still place. Letting the images and the senses, the sounds that you've experienced to wash over you. Allowing your breath to come and go, bringing yourself into the space that you're in. You might close your eyes to experience your own inner landscape more fully. Noticing where your breath is going inside of your body, where it goes to fill and empty. You might notice the sounds, or if your eyes are open, you might notice the visual landscape around you, the quality of feeling of your skin and the touch, whatever is touching your body, clothes that you're wearing, or the texture of the floor, or the chair, or the air that you're breathing. Allowing your breath to come and go. Grounding yourself in this moment. And if your eyes are closed like mine are, allowing your eyes to gently open. And taking in the environment, the quality of light and air and space around you. Thank you again for joining the class today. I hope that you enjoyed this experiment and experience of moving with an awareness of our pause and our movement and our stillness. That's an awareness we can carry with us throughout our daily life, and an experience that you might become curious about through this week ahead, noticing when you're moving and when you really stop and pause. What images are in your mind and awareness? Perhaps do you spend more time in your imagination or more time in the reality that's around you, or a combination? So I hope this class has given you some things to reflect on and some ideas for moving through your week. And thank you again so much for coming and joining. And I wanted to just remind you that this is a free class, a free offering. I'm very grateful to Berkshire Yoga Dance and Fitness for encouraging all the instructors to offer this to the community. And so please do tune into the other instructors' classes. And if you do feel inspired to donate in order to support the studio and the instructors during this time, you can do that at supportbydf.com on the website. Again, I'll just repeat it. It's supportbydf.com. And again, thank you for joining. Your participation is also a wonderful gift and offering. And I think I'll leave it at that for the week. Yes, I'll leave it at that. So thanks again for coming and trying this out, and look forward to connecting with you in a virtual way again soon. Keep well and blessed. Take care. Thank you. Bye.